because we were very courteous. In fact, I said to my counsel on Monday when we learned that we needed to continue and we had very little time to prepare. In fact, we had to arrange facilities at the prison for us to sit until almost 8 o'clock on Monday night. Be that as it may, with the little resources I had, I gave the instruction to counsel that, you know what, these emails and all the documents that we have, it's best that we share it with the state so that we are transparent and we are putting information before the court. And also that we have a fair banter about these issues. On Tuesday morning, my lord, we also provided a bundle of all the exhibits that were handed up to court an hour, I think, hour and a half or so before proceedings started. Now, my lord, my issue comes here. I'm not a lawyer. And as you know, lawyers are trained to read words per second. I read words per minute. And so 30 minutes for me is very different to my counsel, very different to the state in terms of reading, digesting, understanding, and formulating some type of opinion on what you are reading. My lord, there was nothing wrong with me having received this bundle, having gone through it now, and just kept it overnight, read through it, and understood so that I can come back with a proper explanation, perhaps, where I can or not. Because it's such a double-edged sword in a bail application. And I've seen it in my first bail application. You say, I don't have a comment, and certain inferences are made. And those inferences could mean the difference between being released and being kept in custody. My lord, there's the second issue of a document that was also provided to us yesterday, that I also had a look at yesterday. We had to stand down for that document for us to it's a document from Angola, with an official translation.
From whom did you receive that?
From the state, from the colleagues of the state. My lord, and maybe I'm bordering on making legal submissions, I don't know, but the state informed us that disclosure was done. We had full disclosure. This document was in the possession of the state already on the 10th of May 2021. If I go by the signature of the official translator, Dr. Anibal Durrego. The document was already prepared, my lord, and completed in August of 2020. This is not part of the disclosure that we received, my lord. And I wanted to bring it under the attention of the court, my lord, because I'm fighting here to go on bail. I'm fighting for a release. And if I'm being ambushed with information and expected to have a meaningful contribution and make meaningful discussion of it, my lord, I would just expect, because the trial or the proceedings that we are in the criminal matter, 19th of May 2021, I remember, was when the state was asked to disclose to us. Now, I'm also making inferences. Is this why the state is asking that I will probably interfere with witnesses? Because maybe investigations are actually not complete, and that we are still receiving piecemeal information, even though it was in the possession of the state when Judge Liebenberg made an order for disclosure to be made. I don't know if I'm following the correct protocol, but I thought I wanted to bring this to the court's attention because I couldn't approach my legal counsel.
No, it's fine.
And I'll continue and answer as best as I can.
Yes, I want you to continue,
yes.
Mr. Gustavo, and answer as best as you can what you tell the court now and inform the court now without making inferences to this side or the other side. As a judge presiding on this matter, and it's a bail application, knowing it's not a criminal trial, but knowing that it's important that you have ample time to reflect on documents.
Correct.
but also knowing that you say, my Lord, I refute most of the allegations, and you gave a broad frame for that. I must also take into account that the interest of the state and the prosecution in this matter is to the following. If they elect to follow this procedure, and you complain of this procedure, I think, why would they follow this procedure? And the only viable explanation I can think out is that maybe the state don't want you to share particular information at this moment with the other co-accused. That's why they didn't want you to take that bundle of documents to the prison. Therefore, I said 30 minutes. If you think 30 minutes is too less, when the state asks you questions and you want to reflect more on a document, tell me so.
Okay.
I will tell them to move on and we will come back to that particular case.
Thank you, my lord. Thank you.
But Mr. Gustavo, remember that it is your bail application.
Right.
You want to be released on bail. We know it's not a criminal trial. We have a limited time available.
Correct.
I don't want you to be prejudiced thereby, but I also want the matter to move on.
Absolutely, my lord.
That
Absolutely.
we can sit and deliberate on the matter before I make any finding.
100%.
I will take into account the concerns you have.
Thank you, my lord.
When I deliberate
Thank you.
on the matter. I don't know, maybe I should have requested the state first to say why it was so late, but
My lord, I think...
as I indicated to the lawyers before, when we meet in the other court, I want the matter to move forward on the matters that are really in issue in a bail application.
Correct.
The tactic the state follow, I don't know what is the motive behind it. It might not be the motive you think it is.
Right.
But let's not speculate on that. Let's ask Mr. Lutibezi why he didn't want to avail the documents overnight. I have a thinking why.
Yeah. My lord, I can appreciate that. I can appreciate that, and thank you very much, my lord. All I'm asking for is that the court takes cognizance
Yes, I
of
do.
my concerns.
I do.
And all I'm asking for, my lord, is just fairness in how we're sharing this information, because I feel that I'm ambushed, just with so much information. I'm overwhelmed trying to read through so much of the stuff, make sense. You've got to go back a couple of years and understand, okay, what is the context of this? Some emails are just provided, but the context behind the email is not there. So, it makes it very, very, very difficult. But it's fine, my lord. We can continue. I don't want to hold up proceedings.
Okay.
Thank you, my lord.
Mr. Lutibezi,
As it please.
just a short explanation from your side.
Your Lordship, we know the applicant is currently under cross-examination, and we know that discussing the matter under cross-examination is prohibited. We also want to prevent that from taking place because they've been kept in the same area at present with the other co-accused persons. In any event, insofar as this case is concerned, that bundle that we provided yesterday, it's part of the docket. For the bundle itself, the docket was disclosed, I think, about 7 months ago, from April. So these are just portions which were taken out of the docket itself.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and this document he complained of coming from Angola, that's...
Yes, that document, we received it, I think it was yesterday morning. Yesterday morning? Yes, yesterday morning. That's when we received the document ourselves.
May I ask from where? If
From the AC.
seems that the document's available from May already?
No, we received this from the Anti-Corruption Commission yesterday morning. We were not even aware ourselves of the existence of the document.
Okay.
I mean, if we have everything, we'll disclose whatever we have to the parties. We don't want to hide anything. We'll disclose everything we have.
But you hear what I said to him. Obviously, I don't want the litigant to feel that he's ambushed.
Yes, Your Lordship.
And if we need time, we must go through it. But I must also take into account this matter must go forward.
Yes, Your Lordship.
I will take it all into account. Counsel, proceed.
As it please the court. All right, Mr. Gustavo, yesterday we were dealing with the emails and the business card of Namgomar Pesca SA with Mr. Saki Shangala depicted as director. I recall that?
Correct.
Okay.
My Lord, it's just something that I picked up, Counsel, in these documents that you gave me yesterday, and it's just to perhaps contextualize or add to the answer I would have given you, my Lord, Counsel. If I look at page 16 that you were referring to yesterday of the bundle, I note that that is a forwarded message to me. And I would imagine that somebody else had been sent that to, or was sent to Mr. Shanghala by somebody else, and he forwarded it to me. I just wanted to bring that under the attention of the court. Then again, on page 23, my Lord, of the same bundle, indicating that on the 12th of December at 5:24 p.m., just indulge me a little bit, my Lord. I just want to check something quickly. Some individuals were sent these emails, and then it was forwarded to me again. So I just wanted to bring that context in terms of the emails that you've asked me to have a look at yesterday.
Okay, and it seems to me that it was forwarded to you about
All right.
10 hours later.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that email at page 23,
Yes.
Mr. Shangala had sent it to the others, Mr. Tukwilipi, and others who are indicated there, right?
Correct.
And Mr. Shangala had also sent it to you.
Correct.
All right. With the message that the letterhead will be fixed later tonight, so SA is after Pesca.
Correct. The context, of course, my Lord, being that clearly there was work being done in the background in terms of the creation of Namgomar before I entered the fray. I was being forwarded these emails. So clearly people are talking,
Yeah.
and then it's forwarded to me. That is the gist of what I'm trying to bring across in terms of this forwarded emails.
All right. And then at page 24, we'd have the letterhead for Namgomar Pesca. Is that right?
Correct.
All right. If we move on now to page 25, there's a letter that you wrote indicated on that page.
That's correct.
Okay. And you sign at the bottom, Mr. Ricardo Gustavo, yes?
Correct.
Okay. This letter that you wrote, it's almost similar to the letterhead forwarded by Mr. Shangala at page 24.
Right.
All
Almost being the operative word, I guess.
right. Oh, okay. All right. Now, for this particular letter at page 25 that you wrote, to whom was it written?
My Lord, the letter is addressed to Mr. Francisco Antonio Santos, Presidente do Conselho de Administração, FADEPA Angola, and Mr. Saki Shanghala, chairperson of the Law Reform and Development Commission of Namibia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And when you wrote this letter, where were you?
My Lord, I cannot recall
Okay, maybe just
with accuracy where I was. So I don't want to speculate on that because I was traveling between Angola and Namibia, so I'm not 100% sure, my Lord, and I wouldn't want to speculate and put myself on record on that.
Oh, okay. And what was the purpose of writing this letter?
This letter was requested from me by Mr. Antonio Santos, Francisco Antonio Santos, who, as I explained yesterday, my Lord, as I testified yesterday, was working together with Mr. Shanghala as part of this committee that was set up by the ministries to complete the cooperation agreement, out of which Namgomar was born, obviously. Namgomar Pesca S.A. Limitada. Mr. Antonio asked me to just pen a letter to him and to Mr. Shanghala, informing them of or introducing to them the entity, Namgomar Pesca S.A., that they wanted to then go and discuss in greater detail, it seems, with the committees or the powers that be.
Oh, okay. And this Namgomar Pesca S.A., this was the entity that was to be designated in terms of the MOU?
That was the entity that was nominated, correct.
Oh, okay. And that was also part of the reason of writing this letter introducing Namgomar Pesca S.A.
My Lord, I'll repeat that the instructions to me were, Ricardo, can you please draft a letter to us or pen a letter to us that we can take to our committee introducing the entity Namgomar Pesca S.A. That was my brief, and that's, I think, what the letter, if I read it correctly, that's what it says.
Oh, okay. And what is the content of that letter dated 18 December 2013?
Are you saying contents or context?
Content. Your
Content.
Lordship. Yes, your
Content.
Lordship. Yes.
Would you like me
content.
to read it?
Please.
Okay. Your efforts during 2013 to strengthen the relationship of marine fisheries enterprises from both Namibia and Angola, under the general rubric of cooperation and good neighborliness existing between our two countries, bear reference. It is my pleasure to introduce to you an entity, Namgomar Pesca S.A., meaning Namibia-Angola Marine Fishing Company, owned by Angolans and Namibians in the fishing industry, prepared to collaborate in both Namibian and Angolan waters. We have teamed up with the Samerji Group from Iceland, a leading fishing company vertically integrated from the fishing grounds to the markets of fish and fish products across the globe. Together, we intend to broaden the market for Angolan and Namibian fish both internationally and within the Angolan and Namibian markets. We therefore look forward to exploiting the marine resources and to contributing to the objective of ensuring food security, as stated by the ministers responsible for fisheries and marine resources during their reciprocal visits.
All right. Now, I want to find out from you. You are introducing the entity Namgomar Pesca S.A. in that letter.
Correct.
And you don't mention anything about Limitada, yes?
My Lord, I said yesterday that Namgomar Pesca is Namgomar Limitada, as far as I'm concerned, as far as was informed to me, is the same entity.
Okay. The question is, it's not mentioned anywhere in there.
No.
All right. And you said that Namgomar Pesca S.A., meaning Namibia Angola Marine Fish Company, owned by Angolans and Namibians. Yesterday in cross-examination, you said that when you say own, you mean shareholders.
Correct.
Who are the owners of Namgomar Pesca S.A., the Namibian?
My Lord,
the record reflects there is no such entity as Namgomar Pesca S.A. in Namibia. And my colleague must refrain from that, because he said that yesterday, your Lordship corrected him, and he's going there again.
Okay, that was maybe a slip of the tongue.
No, the question is, here in the letter, it says Namgomar Pesca SA is owned by Angolans and Namibians.
Yes.
So my question is, who are the Namibians who own Namgomar Pesca SA?
There are no
This is-
Namibians who own Namgomar Pesca SA.
Okay.
The Namgomar Pesca SA, as we know now, we know that it is a fully 100% Angolan-owned entity.
In your letter, you indicated it's owned by Angolans and Namibians.
Yeah.
So this information is not factually correct.
Well, I think, my lord, the context around this was that I was to come on as a Namibian, as a shareholder of Namgomar Pescas SA. That was the initial discussion. But obviously events overtook us. When we started to analyze and critically look at the legislative framework that I've referred to, we realized that that would not have been possible. So from December 2013, perhaps the intention, yes, was that it was a business owned by Angolans and Namibians. In fact, I had already submitted my personal documents to the Angolan principals for my participation as an equity participant. But unfortunately, events overtook us and we understood that the legal framework would just not allow for that.
Yeah. Okay.
When you said Namibians, in your letter it indicates Namibians. How many Namibians are you referring to?
My lord, this question is neither here nor there. I think if the S, Council, if you are looking at that and saying that that maybe is a plural, I think at the time it was myself and another entity that I was thinking of bringing on board of Namibians, former business partners of mine. We were thinking to go in as the Angolan, or rather as the Namibian shareholders. But again, my lord, I reiterate, events overtook us. If one looks at the context, and I said, my lord, yesterday that for me context is key, because it's easy to throw around letters and say explain, but the context of this is that as it stands today, when we started operations, was this actually the position? And the answer is no, my lord.
Yeah. Okay, you have explained that.
Okay. So at the end of the day, we can accept that you are not a Namibian shareholder at the time of writing this letter on behalf of Namgomar Pesca SA.
I was not.
Okay. You also signed at the bottom as director. From your evidence, you said you're a director of Namgomar Pesca Namibia. Yeah?
That's correct.
Not Namgomar Pesca Limitada or SA.
That's correct.
All right.
But counsel, I just want to take you back again. The context of this letter was when I penned this letter on 18 December, my lord, the intention certainly was that I would be a director. We had been informed that the process, it was a paperwork process, the similar or the equivalent of BIPA in Angola. We're processing the paperwork. And it's on that background that obviously I was confident in writing this. But clearly, again, events overtook us. And the truth is that, yes, this was our thinking perhaps at the time, but the correct standing is totally different today. And that's normal in business. I think things change all the time.
All right. This was in 2013.
Correct.
At what stage did you become aware that you are not going to be director in Namgomar Pesca SA or Limitada?
My lord, remember that I said yesterday and I said in evidence in chief that my involvement only started in the final quarter of 2013. I think in 2014, as things started to take shape, we realized that what we had initially set out was probably not going to work.
Okay, are you done?
Yeah.
All right. Now, after you'd written this letter on the 18th of December 2013, were you still having any other dealings with Mr. Sakia Shangala, James Atabilipi, and the co-accused persons?
Dealings in what sense, Counsel?
Business dealings with regard to Namgomar Pesca.
After penning this letter? My Lord, I have said that the relationships would be intertwined anyway. James Atwikulipi was involved as an advisor to Namgomar Pesca, or at least the principals of Namgomar Pesca in Juan. Tamsin Atwikulipi was involved with advising the Samerji group of companies for Namibia. In essence, a business development role. Mr. Sakia Shangala was involved in the government-to-government negotiations. So if the question is that, was I still talking to them about or dealing with them about Namgomar, I was taking instructions from Jean. Mr. Antonio Santos, who then, obviously after some time, disappeared from the scene, and I then just continued to deal with Jean.
All right. I think just one last thing on this letter. According to your evidence, Namgomar Pesca SA is exactly the same as Namgomar Pesca Limitada. It's one entity. Yes?
Correct.
Okay. So in this particular case, it would appear as if there's a joint venture between Namibians and Angolans in Namgomar Pesca SA, from a reading of this letter.
It would appear that there's a joint venture.
Yes, between Namibians and Angolans.
How do you arrive at that, Counsel? Sorry, I don't.
That the entity is owned by Namibians and Angolans.
But,
Okay,
Counsel,
Mr. Gustavo,
yes.
there is a deduction that's made by the state. Just comment on it.
That's not correct. That is not correct.
All right.
That's the short answer.
Okay. And from your evidence, we know that Namgomar Pesca Limitada is 100% owned by Angolans.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Okay, I know you don't recall where you were when you wrote this letter, but do you recall around what time you wrote this letter?
What do you mean, what time?
In the morning, afternoon, evening?
No.
No, okay. So this letter was followed by another letter at page 26,
Okay.
dated 18 December 2013. You see that?
I see.
On the same date as your letter.
Okay.
All right. And this particular letter was signed by whom?
Mr. Saki Shanghala and Mr. Francisco Antonio Santos.
Oh, okay. And your letter at page 25 of 18 December, you forwarded that to Mr. Santos.
Correct.
All right. In that appears Mr. Santos and Mr. Shangala then wrote a letter themselves on the same day, 18 December 2013, titled Business Enterprise Cooperation between Namibia and Angola in the fishing sector, addressed to the Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources of the Republic of Namibia, Honorable Bernard Isau, MP, and the Minister of Fisheries of the Republic of Angola, Madame Victoria de Barros Neto. You see that?
I see that.
All right. All right. And what is the content of that letter?
Pursuant to the interaction of the respective ministers under the Agreement on General Cooperation, and the creation of the Angolan-Namibian Joint Commission of Cooperation of 1990, in particular the signed minutes of July 2013, Luanda, Angola, read together with the Memorandum of Understanding of October 2013, Windhoek, Namibia, as well as a drafted protocol of cooperation on fisheries and aquaculture under the general content of SADC Protocol on the Fisheries of 2001. As you had requested us, we now present to you attached here to confirmation that Namgomar Pesca has been set up in Angola. Malo, I just need a second here. As a joint venture company owned by Angolans and Namibian nationals prepared to jointly exploit the marine resources of the continuous coastline of the two countries. Namgomar Pesca SA seeks to ensure that Angolans and Namibians are in a position to contribute to food security within the two countries and would like to harvest the market-harvested products into Angola and Namibia to achieve this objective. The Angolan state-owned entity, Pesca, the fish product distribution company, serves as a conduit through which Namgomar Pesca SA will realize the objective. In Namibia, the Fish Consumption Trust has a well-established network that can be replicated by Pesca. The Technical Service Agreement, or TSA, established between Namgomar Pesca SA and Samherji HF capacitates it to harvest and exploit marine resources in accordance with the national legislation and its best practices given the Samherji's industry-leading reputation and footprint across the world. To realize the cooperation between the nationals of the two countries, the Honourable Ministers may now designate them under the laws of the Republic of Angola and the Republic of Namibia and issue them access to their marine resources. Do accept, Honourable Ministers, the assurances of our highest considerations.
All right. So basically, after receiving your letter dated 18 December 2013, where you indicated Namgomar Pesca SA is owned by Angolans and Namibians, Mr. Santos wrote a letter with Mr. Shangala, where they indicate that we now present to you confirmation that Namgomar Pesca SA has been set up with Angola as a joint venture company owned by Angolan and Namibian nationals. You see that?
I see that.
And that was written after your letter.
I see that.
Okay. And you see that there are certain representations being made in that particular letter that this Namgomar Pesca SA is set up in Angola as a joint venture between Namibians and Angolans.
I see that.
You can confirm before court today that there never was such a joint venture, yes?
My Lord, I again go back to what I was saying. The events of 18 December 2013 overtook us. We were overtaken by other events when the operationalization of this entity took force.
All right. Okay, so at the end of the letter, they requested the ministers to designate them under the laws of the Republic of Namibia and Angola to access marine resources.
That's right.
All right.
Before we get to that, Council, it is clear, my Lord, that obviously the ministers would have asked these two gentlemen to do something. It is clear from this letter. Now, if you are saying that my letter of 18 December 2013 triggered this letter, I think that narrative is false. And to borrow from Mr. Marondeze, or maybe I shouldn't, because, my Lord, you'll see here in the first paragraph, just after, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, line 5, Protocol on Fisheries of 2001, it says, as you requested of us. So it looks like, my Lord, and I'm treading on very dangerous grounds here because I'm not the author of this letter. But if I read this correctly, it says, as you had requested of us. Us being who? The signatories to this letter. We now present to you attached here to confirmation of Namgomar Pesca's essay. Now, for me, the context is important, my lord, because if they were requested to do something, where is that request? Why is the state not providing? Because it is part of the disclosure. Why has the state not brought it to these proceedings? And this is why I'm saying, my lord, the ambush that I feel. Because there is context to this. The two ministers wrote reciprocal letters to each other before this was triggered. They are saying here, as you had requested of us, not Gustavo, of us. So, why are we not bringing that context into court, my lord, so that we can have a meaningful and wholesome discussion around this? I'm saying that these gentlemen were requested to do something, and now we're presenting.
Okay, you have given the context.
All right, thank you. We appreciate that you indicate they were communicating with the ministers, but this gentleman, Mr. Santos, was communicating with you and getting some information from you. Yes?
My lord, I repeat again. The gentleman is not asking, he's not referring to Gustavo here. He's saying that as you had requested of us, or the two of them, saying as you had requested of us. These are two individuals who were working in reciprocal committees. They're saying that as you've requested of us.
Okay.
Yes, no, we understand. I was just pointing out to you that Mr. Santos also requested information from you when you wrote that letter of 18 December.
Correct.
Yes. All right. If you go to page 27 to 28, you would see that there's a letter dated 24 June 2014.
Correct.
Addressed to the Honorable Dr. Victoria de Barros Neto, the Minister of Fisheries, Luanda, Republic of Angola. The title, Implementation of the Memorandum of Understanding on Cooperation in Areas of Fisheries and Aquaculture between the Republic of Angola and the Republic of Namibia. You see that?
Yes, I do.
All right. I just want to take you to the next page, page 28.
Page 28.
Yes, Your Lordship. At the second paragraph. What is indicated in that paragraph?
Upon receipt of your confirmation, I will inform the entities in writing of your designation.
The
paragraph
one
above
before
that.
Yes.
Okay. I therefore seek your concurrence, Honorable Minister, that pursuant to Article 8 of the Memorandum of Understanding on Cooperation in Fisheries and Aquaculture, we nominate the Angolan fishing entity Namgomar Pesca's SA and/or its nominee in conjunction with the Namibian fishing entity Namgomar Pesca's Namibia to harvest marine resources in the maritime jurisdiction of the Republic of Namibia.
All right. So this was the nomination letter for the entity that was to harvest the marine resources, yeah? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. And that being Namgomar Pesca SA and or its nominee.
This, my lord, let's just be factually correct.
Yes.
This is the minister saying, and again, if we just go back to page 27, he's thanking her for the visit, etc., etc. As discussed, I would like to implement this agreement straight away, as discussed. So they had a discussion, and as provided in the Marine Resources Act 2000, the Government of the Republic of Namibia will cause that the agreement is published in the Government Gazette, and thereafter it's required of us as the fisheries authorities under Section 35(2) to nominate the fishing company that will apply for quota to harvest marine resources in Namibian waters. Then he quotes Section 35, which I took you through in chief. Then he says, I therefore seek your concurrence. Now, the question you've put to me is that, is this the nomination letter? He's seeking her concurrence. I cannot say, my lord, that this is a nomination letter.
Okay, seek concurrence. We nominate the Angolan fishing entity Namgomar Pesca SA and or its nominee. We nominate. That is also part of that paragraph.
Correct.
Okay.
And the final paragraph is also key to the context. Upon receipt of your confirmation, I will inform the entities in writing of your designation under Section 35(2) of the Marine Resources Act.
All right. And you are aware from the disclosure provided that the Minister of Angola, in fact, confirmed the nomination, yeah?
That's correct.
Okay. And then Namgomar Pesca SA or its nominee was nominated.
That's correct.
All right.
Now, my lord, perhaps just to, there's a document, and I can't remember the lettering, or rather the referencing. I think it's document B or C that was submitted to court yesterday. My lord, this document dealt with the allocation of quota, where
In the regulations now, that
the letter from the PS at the time, the permanent secretary writing to the minister, saying that these letters, this is the amount of quota that we can distribute,
correct.
etc., etc.
I remember that.
Yeah. Now, key to that is that at the bottom the minister says he's approving it because he has to approve or not approve. He says approved on condition that the Angolans also reciprocate. So it seems that there was some type of reciprocation, that the Angolans would give quota and the Namibians would give quota as well. In which case, my lord, my understanding was that the Namibians could then go and fish their quota that's allocated through the laws of Angola in the Angolan waters, and this Section 35 company can then come and fish in the Namibian waters from Angola. Mm-hmm. That is the correct context in my mind to that.
All right. Namgomar Pesca Namibia, you are the director of that entity.
Correct.
Before it was called Namgomar Pesca Namibia, it was called Paw Print Investments, yes?
Correct.
And it only changed its name around July 2014.
My lord, I know that there was a name change done through BIPA, but I can't. It would have been some time because I know that it was bought, took the shelf, I think, in June or so, and shortly thereafter, a name change was done.
Yes, I'm informing you. It was in July 2014.
Well, if that's a fact, then so be it. But I don't have anything to say to you that yes, it's a fact or no. If you're expecting me to concur with you.
All right. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
If the name changes in July 2014, this letter is written in 24 June 2014. Do you perhaps know how Mr. Issa knew of Namgomar Pesca Namibia before the name is changed?
I wouldn't know. You would have to ask him.
All right.
You would have to check with him. I cannot speculate on that, sir.
Okay. And insofar as this case is concerned, you also applied for the quotas on behalf of Namgomar Pescas.
Correct.
All right. I just want to find out Namgomar Pescas Namibia. That is situated in Windhoek, the address. It's somewhere in Auckland Park, yeah?
Correct.
All right. Without giving too many details, there's a 4 in that address.
It used to be my previous residence.
Okay. So, all right. There is a 4 in that address.
A 4?
Yes.
It was my previous residence, sir. That's what I'm saying.
All right. I just want you to look at a certain document. Sorry, the exhibit.
Thank you.
Sorry, counsel, were you, when you informed him about the name change, Did you have this document, Exhibit B, in mind? The reservation of the name that was made in 23 June 2014 and only approved 8 July 2014. Did you have that in mind?
No, Your Lordship.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you for pointing it out.
I'm indebted to the court.
Your Lordship, I'm not certain, but I think this document was submitted as an exhibit, the application for the quota. I'm not certain if it's an exhibit for court.
Yes, I have a similar document, but I think the document we have is dated 2016. Let me quickly look.
As it plays the court.
It might be the same one. I just have another
It's
date.
actually the same document. We just provided it.
Is
to
it-
illustrate to court
Is it the same document?
requirements, yes, as per the regulations of the Marine Resources Act.
Let me just make sure before we move on. Why do I think there was another date on it? No, it's the same document, you're correct.
Yes.
It's exactly the same. It's before court as Exhibit C.
As it plays the court. All right. Mr. Gustavo, remember in your evidence you indicated that it would be illegal for Namgomar Pesca Namibia to acquire those quotas directly.
Correct.
All right. And that is why they had to be acquired by an Angolan entity.
That's correct, sir.
All right. Now, in this application, you indicated it's Namgomar Pescas that's applying.
Correct.
There's no indication if it's Namgomar Pescas SA, Limitada, or Namibia. It's just Namgomar Pescas SA, just Namgomar Pescas. Right?
Correct. That's correct.
Okay. And what is the business or residential address provided for that Namgomar?
Number 4, Papagayen Road, Auckland Park.
All right. And then the contact details are provided as well.
Correct.
And the postal address in Windhoek is also provided.
Correct.
And these details that are provided here are for Namgomar Pesca Namibia, correct?
Correct.
Not Limitada,
Correct.
not SA.
Correct.
So are you saying, and
Now-
are you confirming that the application for a quota here in Exhibit C was for the Namibian company, not for the Angolan company?
That is, no. That's not what I'm confirming, my lord. I was confirming what counsel was reading.
Yeah.
The truth, my lord, is that this document is the very Annexure C that I was talking about in my chief evidence. My lord, this is just an administrative mishap. If we go back to the other quota application forms, we fixed that. This was just an administrative, look, it was even taken from 2015, where's 16, 17, 18, and all of those, that show you that the PO box that we then used after I got a call from the ministry to say, listen, the form you've given us will process, but please in future put the local representative details that you've put here at the bottom. But if we go, my lord, a step further and perhaps investigate with the Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources, the truth is that the quota would have been allocated correctly in their systems. They would have nowhere been able to issue a quota to a company that cannot hold that quota. That is my testimony. I'm not agreeing at all with if that's the court's question. I'm not agreeing that this quota was now allocated to a Namibian entity. That's not correct.
All right.
This is really just an administrative glitch that I think in 2016, 17, 18, or every time we received and sent through the quota application forms, this was fixed.
All right. And you signed on that particular application
I
form,
did,
yeah?
yes.
Okay. Yeah, we are just dealing with the document as submitted by you in evidence in chief.
Correct.
This came from you.
Correct.
You submitted it to the court.
Correct.
And from looking at it, it's Namgomar Pescas here in Namibia that was applying for a quota.
Yeah, my lord, I think that inference is incorrect.
All right.
I refute that.
Okay. Can we go on to page 29 of the bundle? There's a letter there dated 27 June 2014, correct?
Correct?
And that is the letter that you received with regard to the quota allocation.
Right.
Okay.
You're referring now to page
29. Your Lordship.
29.
Yes, Your Lordship.
Yes, carry on, sorry.
All right. To whom is that letter addressed?
The Director of Corporate Investments, Namgomar Pesca Rua Americo Júlio de Carvalho, number 138 Barra Azul, Luanda, Angola.
All right. And the director, that would have been you.
Correct?
Okay, so this was before the name was changed of corporate investment.
Correct.
All right. So insofar as, and this corporate investment, is it located in Angola?
No. We know that.
It's a,
Corporate is a Namibian entity.
yes, it was a Namibian entity.
Have you deregistered them, or was the Namibian entity, is it deregistered?
It changed its name to Namgomar Pesca Namibia.
Correct.
Okay. Now, corporate investment, was this one of the nominated entities?
My lord, again, context is everything. The picking and choosing of information that suits a narrative, I think we need to dispel. And I'll dispel it by saying the following. We know that there is no way that corporate investments, Namgomar Pesca's Namibia, could have received quota. That is established. It couldn't have. Now, as far as this letter goes, I cannot speak for the permanent secretary. I don't know what their arrangements were internally. But certainly the letter was forwarded to me via fax. I didn't find it to be strange because I know that the principals are Namgomar Pesca's SA who are receiving that quota.
All right. And what is the...
We have a gentleman's agreement, sir.
Yes, you can continue.
She says, I have the pleasure to inform you that the minister has nominated your joint venture corporate, etc. The validity of this nomination in the final paragraph will be guided by the MOU on cooperation in the fisheries sector between the Republic of Namibia and the Republic of Angola. Now, which company came out of that, was nominated from that, was Namgomar Pesca's SA.
All right. Now, this letter, it indicates the minister has nominated your joint venture, corporate investment Pty Ltd, Namgomar Pesca.
Yeah.
You are in possession of this letter.
This letter here?
Yes.
Yes.
You know there's no such joint venture, yes?
Correct.
All right. And what did you do about that information when you received this letter?
My lord, I obviously knew that there was no joint venture. I could not speak for the permanent secretary. Internally, I don't know what their naming regimes were for these agreements, these fisheries agreements. But what I knew in practice is that Namgomar Pesca's SA was the nominated entity, my lord.
All right. If you go to the next page, page 30, this particular letter, that was also written by you.
Correct?
All right. And where were you when you wrote that letter?
I am not sure, but I would believe that I was in Windhoek.
Okay, not in Angola.
I believe that I would have been in Windhoek. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe I'm probably in Windhoek.
All right. It's of significance now, that letter that you signed, what is the content of that letter?
Conclusion of fisheries cooperation agreement between the Republic of Namibia and the Republic of Angola.
And what is the content?
I write to offer my congratulations to you, Honorable Minister, as well as Honorable Doutora Vitória de Barros Neto, the Minister of Fisheries of the Republic of Angola, for having concluded the framework agreement under which we can cooperate as citizens of the sisterly republics of Angola and Namibia. We at Namgomar have established cooperation between Namibians and Angolans wishing to exploit fisheries resources. Attached, please find the license issued to a vessel we intend to utilize in the Angolan waters through our technical partner Samergi. We have already provided the Minister with our technical agreements with Samergi and will soon be applying for a license under Section 40 of the Marine Resources Act. Kindly accept, Honourable Minister, the assurance of our high esteem.
All right. You indicated that at Namgoma you established cooperation between Namibians and Angolans. Which cooperation is that?
Well, I was referring to the business that is now known as Namibia, of Namgomar Pesca Namibia, and the cooperation with its shareholder.
No, okay. And if we move on to...
Also, my lord, sorry, Counsel, to cut you off. We do have a gentleman's agreement that I also want to stick to. But to ask where I was when I was penning this letter, I think we're neither here nor there, because we'll see that the addresses for both the Angolan business, Rua Américo Júlio de Carvalho, 138 Bairro Azul, Luanda, Ngombotas, was on there, as well as the local address, being the local representative, 4 Papachain Road, Auckland Park, Windhoek, Namibia. Furthermore, both our Angolan contact details via cell phone, as well as my Namibian cell phone number, are provided.
Yes, these letters fluctuate. If you go to the letter at page 25, you would find an Angolan address there, non-Namibian address.
Yeah, but we were talking about this letter, not the
Yes.
one in 25.
All right, I'm just pointing out to you that they fluctuate. All right, now if you move on to the next page, there's a document marked E33 on that page. You see that?
I see that.
All right. This was an email from whom to whom?
That was an email from Johannes Stefansson to Margaret Olafsdottir.
All right. It was forwarded.
Correct.
And the original message came from whom to whom?
Ricardo Gustavo to James Saki, Tamsin Atuikulipi, Johannes Stefansson, and João de Barros.
All right. And in respect of this particular email, there was an attachment to it, isn't that so?
Correct.
And what is that attachment?
Is that the following page?
Yes.
That would be the horse mackerel quota allocation for the 2014 fishing season.
To Namgomar Pesca's SA.
SA, correct.
All right. And when you received this allocation letter, you forwarded it to the persons you just mentioned now.
Correct.
All right. And what was the content of your email?
Good morning, gentlemen. Please see the attached communication. We are in business.
Oh, okay. You are in business with these people?
No. My lord, maybe now for the purposes of the state, unfortunate selection of words, because we are now taking these words to mean something different. I was writing particularly to inform these individuals that we have now received official communication of the allocation of quota for the 2014 fishing season for Namgomar Pesca's SA. Not that I'm in business with them, no.
All right. We are just going by what the letters and the emails stipulate.
And I'm also just providing the necessary context, sir.
All right. Thank you. All right. Now, with regard to that particular allocation on the 7th of July 2014. It was directed to you as Director of Namgomar Pesca SA,
Right.
and we know that you were never a Director of Namgomar Pesca SA.
100%.
All right. And you're not based in Angola as well.
Correct. Correct.
All right.
My Lord, again, the background to this letter is that the ministry, as I indicated earlier, Annexure C, my Lord, is key. And the state has been very kind again to provide us this document, say that they would like to communicate with the local representative to make sure that compliance is kept.
Are you done?
I am.
All right. And then we move on to page 32. There's a letter dated 8 July 2014, which...
Page 32.
Yes. So this was your reply to the allocation letter of 7 July 2014.
Okay.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And it was written on the letterhead of Namgomar Pesca SA.
Correct.
All right. Addressed to whom?
To the Permanent Secretary, the now late Ms. Ulitara Hivelwa.
Oh, okay. You signed that particular letter.
Correct.
In what capacity?
As director, obviously, of the business that is catching on their behalf and the local representative.
Oh, okay.
Correct.
But we know you are not a director of this entity.
No, no, no. I signed as director, my lord, of the Namibian entity. The state has established that I was a director of a Namibian entity, and therefore the title director.
All right. Where on this letter is it indicated you are residing on behalf of the Namibian entity?
That I'm, sorry, just repeat your question.
Signing in your capacity as director on behalf of the Namibian entity.
My lord, it's very difficult to, or maybe let me put it this way. We know now that a foreign entity cannot sit in a foreign jurisdiction, send a vessel here, having received the quota, and just harvesting whatever they feel is necessary, take it and leave. We know that now. And obviously, I was writing as the director of Namgomar. That is common cause. Namgomar Pesca Namibia. That is common. I mean, I don't think I would have been able to write in any other capacity.
But the question that the state asked you, and give us context to this. This letterhead is on Namgomar Pesca SA. There's two directors underneath, yourself and M.A. Joachim.
Very good.
You signed as a director. You say you signed for the Namibian company.
Very good. Lord, if you can just give me just a few seconds. I just want to find something to contextualize. My Lord, unfortunately, this document is not numbered.
What document are you referring to?
This document that you gave us yesterday from the one that you supposedly only received yesterday from the ACC. So you may have also not have read it. So I'd like to just read something into the record here, my Lord, to give, and then I'll come to the context of this. And my Lord, again, it's not out of disrespect. I would just like to sit down just for a few minutes.
Yes, you can.
Thank you. My understanding of this, and the state, Mr. Lutibezi, you can help me if I'm wrong, is that these are affidavits deposed under oath by the Angolan parties. And this is in particular being asked, I think it's to João or to Antonio Santos. Both are key figures in this company, Namgomar Pesca SA. The question is asked if he has ever heard about Namgomar Limited Company and who the shareholders. He replied that he heard of the company Namgomar Limitada. The tobacco organization is a shareholder of Namgomar Limitada. The other shareholder is the company Jovi Bar, and from his own company, from this company, he knows Mr. Domingos de Barros and João de Barros. The managers appointed were Moisés Antonio Joaquim and Nadiezda dos Santos Custódio Macongo, appointed by the other party. So, Moisés Antonio Joaquim is this MA, Joaquim, that is on there. I was informed that he's a director of Namgomar Pesca SA, my Lord. So, it's consistent with what the state has just given us. I could not have made this up, my Lord.
Yeah.
I couldn't have made it up. This is a document that was given to us by the state. So there's no malice in the letter that I'm writing, my Lord. The context to this, I've even, if we look at the address that is on here, Rua Américo Júlio de Carvalho, number 138, Bairro Azul, Luanda, Angola, number 4, Papagayen Road, Hoogland Park, Windhoek, PO Box 26846, Angolan cell phone number, Namibian cell phone number, plus my email address. There is no intent of maliciousness here, my Lord, at all.
No, I don't think an intent of maliciousness is bothering the prosecution, but it go to this letter on the face of it represent something in writing which might not be true.
My Lord.
That is why I believe they put it to you.
Okay. My Lord, maybe just to, because you've probably put it a little bit better for me, maybe let me just answer what this letter represents, in my view.
Yeah.
This letter is thanking the ministry for the receipt of a quota in 2014 for Namgomar Pescas. The group hereby accepts. Then we will shortly be applying for a license, the fraternal relationship. So the group.
Yeah.
I'm a director in Namibia, Joaquim is a director in Angola. My Lord, maybe does that perhaps just amplify the answer a little bit?
Yes, it amplified. It's but it's still, it amplified, it's still, you must understand why these questions are asked. Right. You are talking about context. This is also in context.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Just take us back a little bit and tell us when, again, I don't know whether it's in the documents here, when again did you become a director in Namibia, in the Namibian company?
It was when the Namibian entity was registered, so it would have been around June 2014 when that...
June, July 2014.
Correct,
yeah.
when paw print was, and this is July
and
2014.
when then in the scheme of things, you believed at the stage in 2013 that you will also become a director and the equity holder in one of the the Angolan companies,
Correct.
you said to us.
Correct, my lord.
When did it come out that that will not happen?
That was, as I said, my lord, that was in the early parts of 2014, because I became involved, and then obviously I started looking at the legislation. I started trying to interpret what it means. In fact, I paid a visit to the very permanent secretary, Ms. Ulitalo Hivelwa, the late, to just ask that my interpretation and my understanding is this. Is this correct? And she confirmed that is correct, that this entity, one, is receiving quota because of this fishing agreement between Angola and Namibia. Two, needs to have a local representative. That was in the early parts of 2014.
Yeah.
And it's on that score, my lord, that I then realized that, no, I cannot take equity in a business as a Namibian participating in a scheme that is not meant for Namibians.
All right. So in instance, in 2014, you knew that you will not be director of Namgomar Pesca SA.
Correct.
All right. I just want you to have a look at two letters. There's one dated 30 May 2016 and one dated 9 November 2017.
Okay.
Lord, if we can have the courtesy of a
Yes.
copy, because I
Provide.
asked and I was told to go look in the documents.
No.
So if we can just get whatever else they want to use, please, my lord.
Let's start off with the letter of 30 May 2016. You have that before you.
I do.
You signed that letter.
Correct.
And the one of 9 November 2017 is also before you.
Correct.
And you also signed that letter.
Correct.
All right, let's start with the one of 2016. It is written on the letterhead of Namgomar Pesca SA, yeah?
Yes.
And with which address is there?
That is Rua Américo Júlio de Carvalho, is the Angolan address?
Okay, there's no Namibian address for this particular letter, yeah?
No.
All right. Perhaps if I can ask you then, with this, where were you when you wrote this letter?
My lord, I do not recall where I was.
Whether you're in Namibia or Angola,
I can't recall.
can say. All right. Now, in what capacity did you send this letter?
Again, my lord, every letter that I penned to the ministry, I penned it as a director of Namgomar Namibia Pescas, a subsidiary of Namgomar Pescas SA or Limitada.
All right. Looking at this letter itself, is the Namgomar Pesca Namibia reflected anywhere on this letter?
No.
All right. So on the face of this letter, you are signing your capacity director of Namgomar Pesca SA.
No. Well, perhaps that's your interpretation, Council, but as I said, every communication I did with the Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources, I was doing on the basis of me being a director of the local entity.
Oh, okay.
If I take you back to your letter on page 32, Namgomar Pesca's group hereby accepts, and the theme continued. I think the letter may not have my Namibian address, has my Namibian fax number, has my email address in Namibia, or well, email address for that matter. So I signed these letters as director of the Namibian entity.
All right. But it's not on the letterhead of Namgomar Pesca Namibia.
No.
It's on the letterhead of a different entity, Namgomar Pesca SA.
Well, the Namibian name doesn't appear there, you're right, but I don't think that the inference can be made that I'm signing on behalf of Namgomar Pescas. I think the truth is that how this letter was effected is what we also need to take into consideration, Council.
And
The quota we refer to the allocation of 10,000 metric tons of horse mackerel to Namgomar Pesca by the Minister of Fisheries, and we hereby formally accept the allocated quota. Now, maybe what is important also, perhaps for context, is where is the letter from Mr. Maruhungirire, just to get context.
You are in possession of these letters of allocations,
Right,
and you know to which entities the allocations were made, yeah?
correct.
Which entity is it?
Namgomar Pesca's SA.
Yes.
That is the nominated entity.
Yes.
Yes.
And in terms of the letters from the ministry, they'll be referred to Namgomar Pesca's SA.
Correct.
All right. Is there any difference with these letters?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think, you know, it's an academic argument, really. I mean, we're neither here nor there, in my view.
Okay, maybe just to settle it, I have one of the letters of 30 May 2016, since you wanted context. Your Lordship, the court will bear with me. Let me just look for a copy.
30 May 2016.
Yes, the allocation letter from the ministry. The court will bear with me. This is not part of the bundle, so
I have the thank you letter from Namgomar.
No, he said he wanted context because of the name of Namgomar Pescas.
Yeah.
So to which Namgomar Pescas was the allocation made? I've provided him with a letter from the Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources indicating to which entity that allocation was made. That is when 30 May
2016.
2016. Trevor, can you just have a look and probably give the judge this?
My Lord, with your permission, can I just ask for a small comfort break? Just want to use the bathroom if, or will we be having a break soon-ish?
No, but I'm not going to give a long break. If you need a comfort break now, I will adjourn the matter until 11 o'clock and then we start again.
Perfect.
There will not be a longer break.
Thank you, my Lord.
And in between, you can give me a copy of this letter you have given to him.
As it was about your
Okay, you can give it to my...
is addressed to whom?
Ricardo Gustavo, Director, Namgomar Pesca's SA.
And the address?
Rua Américo Júlio de Carvalho, number 138, Bairro Azul, Ngombotas, Luanda, Angola.
Oh, okay. So it's not addressed to you in your capacity as Director of Namgomar Pesca Namibia?
It's direct, yeah, well, no.
All right.
I don't want to disrupt my learned friend's flow, but I don't know how many times he wants to ask the very same question, even if the date changes. Very same question, very same answer. It's probably the 6th or 7th time. So not to dictate to him how to do his cross-examination, my lord, but we are stuck in a circle. That is unfortunately the situation.
We are what?
We're stuck in a circle. It's just same question, same answer. Same question, same answer.
It's council, it's different letters, different dates. Now there's two letters in front of me, the one concerning the 2016 season and then the letter from the Ministry of Fisheries, the same letter, where Counsel for the State just point out in what capacity was the letter addressed to Mr. Gustavo. And it's a different date. I'm not, at this stage, not going to stop there.
Mr. Court, please, my lord.
Thank you.
As it please the court. Yes, Mr. Gustavo, with regard to that particular letter,
Yeah.
it was addressed to you in your capacity as director of Namgomar Pesca SA,
Correct.
not Namibia, yeah?
Correct.
All right. And then you responded with the letter of 30 May 2016
Correct.
on the letterhead of Namgomar Pesca SA,
Correct.
your capacity as director as well.
Yes.
All right. Your Lordship, there's no objection. The straight request for the letter dated 30 May 2016, addressed to Mr. Gustavo, as well as the letter dated 30 May 2016, addressed to Mr. Moses.
Okay, let's just get the sequence now. I think this will be Exhibit P.
Need some other. Exhibit P.
As it please the court, possibly P1 and P2.
If you have three letters now before me.
Yes. Your
Number them, indicate to me which one should be P1 and then P2 and P3.
The letter of 30 May 2016 from the Minister of Fisheries, I believe that should be P1 as it came first. And then
That's
Mr.
P1, yes.
As it please the court,
And then the answer of Mr. Gustavo,
is P2.
P2.
And the third, it's just a reply by Mr. Gustavo as well as P3, the one of 9 November 2017.
The one with reference to another quota season.
Yes, Your Lordship.
Okay, I take it in as exhibits P1 to P3.
Okay. Now, having regard to all these letters that we've referred to, it would appear that there was a joint venture, Namgomar Pesca SA, which was entitled to receive quotas, and you were acting on behalf of Namgomar Pesca SA as a director. Isn't that so?
Counsel, just repeat your question because you're saying of JVs and then you're talking about
Yes.
directorship. So maybe just unpack your question a little bit better for me to understand.
Yes, I'm saying that as it appears from the letters, starting from the one that you wrote from 18 December 2013, the allocation from the ministry as well, where the joint venture paw print investment is to apply for a horse mackerel quota. Your letters in which you were representing yourself to be a director of Namgomar Pesca SA, it would appear from these letters that there was a joint venture
With whom?
between Namibian and Angolans.
Which Namibians and which Angolans?
That's what you're supposed to tell us. That's why I asked you on your letter.
See, because I'm asking because I'm also now, but we've just this morning, my lord, I highlighted that there was no JV. There was no joint venture company.
That we know,
Yes.
Mr. Gustavo, and we heard that evidence.
Right.
But now what counsel is putting to you, from all these letters, and the line of these letters,
Right.
and the representations on the face of it made on the letters, it appears, and you can now say yes or no, or
No,
give another
no,
remark.
no.
He put to you, it appears from the writings that there was a joint venture.
No.
Yes? Go on.
Where is the place of court? All right. You've also received disclosure in this particular case. You are in the possession of the statement of the former Attorney General, Mr. Kawana, yes?
Correct. It's part of the disclosure.
Okay. I just want you to have a look at a certain document. One to the court. All right. The document that you have before you, it's a letter addressed to Mr. Bernard Isau, is that correct?
Correct.
Oh, okay. If there are page numbers depicted on top, starting from 36.
Right.
At 39, you can see there's a draft agreement on cooperation in fisheries and aquaculture between the government of the Republic of Namibia
Right.
and the government of the Republic of Angola.
Right.
And then if you go to page 60,
60.
yes,
Right?
60, Your Lordship.
60.
Yes.
60.
You'd see that what is depicted there is now a memorandum of understanding.
Yes.
Between the government of the Republic of Namibia through the Minister of Fisheries and the government of the Republic of Angola through the Minister of Fisheries.
Correct.
I take it you are not aware of the background as to why this draft agreement was all of a sudden a memorandum of understanding.
My Lord, I wouldn't know. I was not part of, and I don't know if I'm supposed to comment on things that actually had nothing to do with me, my Lord.
Yeah,
So
no.
I wouldn't know.
Yes, no, it's fine if you don't know. It's not an issue. There's a letter attached to this to the memorandum and agreement dated 11 December 2013. You see that
Where's that?
on the very first page.
Yes.
This is addressed to Honorable Bernard Isau, MP, Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources. You see that?
I do.
And titled Draft Agreement on Cooperation in Fisheries and Aquaculture between Namibia and Angola. You see that?
Correct.
Okay. Now, in this particular letter, it's indicated that we refer to a letter dated 25 October 2013 and our subsequent consultations with your ministry with regard to the above-mentioned matter. It goes on to say we amended the draft agreement in order to accommodate our input therein, which amended document is attached here too. The electronic version of the document can be emailed to the ministry on request.
I see that.
All right. And what does it say in paragraph 2?
As conveyed to us by the ministry, it appears that Angola prefers a memorandum of understanding, which is legally non-binding, over a legally binding agreement, as it would be untenable to have one party consider the instrument to be legally binding whilst the other party does not. It is imperative that the two governments adopt a common position on the nature of the proposed instrument, in view of the fact that the proposed instrument appears to have to some extent in its wording to be a declaration of intentions regarding cooperation in fisheries and aquaculture without specifying concrete legal obligations. We recommend that it be signed as a memorandum of understanding instead of an agreement. Provision is made for the parties to enter under the memorandum of understanding into implementation agreements or protocols in which they will specify detailed activities, timeframes, and concrete financial and other obligations of the parties.
Oh, okay. So you see, you note from that document that Mr. Esau was advised to enter into a non-binding memorandum of understanding.
That's what it says here, yes.
All right. And the draft agreement, which was forwarded, as indicated at page 39, was downgraded at page 60 to a memorandum of understanding.
Correct.
Okay.
Without having gone through, obviously, whatever, but yes, sure.
And what was gazetted, what is produced before court, that was the memorandum of understanding, correct?
Right.
Okay.
My Lord, am I supposed to comment or? I don't know what the contextual background is to this, but anyway, the court found yesterday that our nations agree, sovereigns agree, my Lord, if I understood you correctly. It's really up to them. We don't have anyone here who can come and attest to that. So I don't know what I'm supposed to comment here. I was not party to this.
Council yesterday made 2 or 3 times reference thereto and draw a distinction between an agreement and a memorandum of understanding. You will remember that.
Correct. Correct.
From yesterday to today, what I hear and see now is that's in order to conclude that.
Right.
To say that what we have, the MOU, it's not a binding agreement.
Right.
Council, am I correct?
Yes, Your Lordship.
But, my Lord, I don't understand why this is put before me because I'm not. This is agreements between sovereign states. How they agreed, what
You
negotiated.
contextualize it
has nothing
in
to
any
do
event. You say it's nothing to do with
This
you?
is nothing to do
Fine.
with me. Then
Yeah.
I'll ignore this.
Okay, Mr. Gustavo,
Should we take this in as an
exhibit, Your Lordship,
exhibit?
as the court.
I know, but where is the relevance? It's not for this witness. If ever they want to bring an issue of distinction between an MOU and a contract, let them bring it to the correct forum, to Mr. Esau that this letter was written to. But it makes no sense whatsoever for this to be admitted into these proceedings where it is totally irrelevant to this applicant.
I hear what you say, Council. Mr. Lutibezi,
Your Lordship,
the part that you want to make relevant, is it basically the comment from Dr. Kavanagh pointing out in paragraph 2, what he said in paragraph 2?
yes,
You
Your
want
Lordship.
to put that before the witness and you want him to comment there?
Yes, Your Lordship. With regard to the advice that was provided by the Attorney General to the Minister of Fisheries, with regard to the agreement and the memorandum of understanding, that is what is being put to the witness. In any event, I
So
think
is it
it's,
then necessary to put it before the court?
yes, Your Lordship, it is necessary. We are dealing with one case here where we allege that it's a syndicate that is involved. So the evidence that would be applicable in respect of one accused person is also applicable in respect of the other accused persons. It's not limited to Mr. Esau alone. So it applies to everyone. And the purpose of producing this document before court is just to show the court that this is the nature of the evidence in the state's possession. So, and that is relevant for purposes of...
And you do it on the basis of the conspiracy and the co-perpetrators issue in the charge sheet.
Yes, Your Lordship.
Okay, I will allow it.
My Lord, if I may,
Yeah.
this is tantamount to saying that I was aware of this document. I think the state highlighted before he gave me the document that this was in the disclosure document. It's the first time I saw it. And I even said before he gave it to me that I know that it's there, but I've not even read it because I know that these government-to-government things have nothing to do with me. And therefore, I feel, my Lord, that if we're allowing this to stand, and even what the state is saying, that it's one case, how would I even be called to witness and say, testify on a document that I have not been party to signing, not been party to negotiations, and therefore non-binding on me.
I hear what you say, but you must also understand where the state is coming from. And what they are doing now is they, by way of this bail application, they provide, in some instances, a basis for their allegation that you conspired with other accused in certain of the charges. Now, this document is put to you because they want to highlight what was say in paragraph 2. But you must remember, sitting as a judge in a bail application,
Yes.
and I'm not sitting in the criminal proceedings.
Right.
I take it maybe a little bit different than you. It's maybe not to your prejudice that this is now left and given to you. It can also favor you, because that gives you one of the bases whereupon they will, with other letters and written instruments, lead to the allegations of conspiracy. So it's also informative. If I look at this letter before me,
Yes.
you are not a party to this letter. You are correct.
Thank you, my lord.
You are not a party to the MOU. It's correct. You are not a party to the draft agreement there was. It's correct. That is on a sovereign level. You are correct. But remember all the time that the prosecution is also charging you with the conspiracy, also with the public officials. Therefore, to give context to what they say is their case,
Right.
and the strength of their case, they put it before you. Okay? I'm not going to make criminal deductions from this document.
My lord, thank you for clarifying. I'm indebted to you. Thank you very much.
Counsel?
And it is a court.
And on that, while we are on that subject, which I also address now with Mr. Gustavo, I know the strength of the state case has brought in what was usually not in bail applications a few years ago, and you must show that you have a strong case. And it is also for the adjudicating officer to look at documents to see whether there might be a strong case or not. But let us try and limit it. Try and limit it. I think you have already pointed out what the state might argue concerning documents this morning, that certain impressions, let me call it that, were created. So obviously the court will look at that. But when I'm going to pronounce on the strength of the state case, counsel, be advised that I'm not going to try and dissect documents and the law and making inferences. I will make a globular assessment, because I remember I am not at the trial court. And let's try and get to a balance. Otherwise, we will not finish.
As it plays a court, your lordship.
Thank you.
We'll try to limit as much as possible. But this bundle is actually smaller than other bundles.
Yeah.
Because it's boxes and boxes of documents. So we try to limit it as much as possible for
I believe so. And it's a difficult act. I believe that too.
as
For
it please
both the
court.
parties.
As it plays a court, Your Lordship. But I think we are almost done with documents. We are getting there. Should be
Okay.
on track. Yes. Mr. Gustavo.
Okay. My ruling was I will allow it as exhibit.
It will be Q now.
Is it
The last exhibit was P.
P? Now it's Q.
As it plays a court. In your evidence, you testified that you entered into usage agreements. You said on behalf of Paul Print and STR Holdings, isn't it?
Namgomar Pesca Namibia
Yes.
and SCR Holdings.
Okay. But
SCR
previously,
catching companies.
all right. Previously, it was Paul Print Investments.
Correct.
All right. And
No, not to. I don't want to be up and down. Really, I don't. That's not what I want to do. But if my learned friend says you entered into agreements, we know there are various agreements before you, my lord. So if you can just be a little bit more specific, is he referring to this agreement or that, so that we all follow and not just throw it in the air and
Okay.
hope for an
Counsel.
answer?
yes, I believe I indicated
Repeat.
in usage agreements.
The
There
what
is no such
agreement?
thing as a usage agreement.
Okay.
There is
What
no
do you
such
call-
thing as a usage.
All right. What do you call them?
You are referring to agreements, counsel. I think you need to tell me which agreement you are referring to. You're talking about a usage agreement. There is no such thing as a usage agreement.
I think he's referring to the catching agreement.
Yes.
Is it the catch agreement you're
Yes.
referring to? Yes.
All right. And in respect of those agreements, you had agreed that the quotas would be sold for $500 per metric ton.
That's what we have in the agreement, correct?
Okay. All right. You recall that it was put to you in your former bill application that there is evidence to the effect that 75% of the usage fee in terms of those agreements was to be paid to an entity in Dubai called Tundavala Investment Limited.
I recall so.
Okay. And during your dealings with the Samheji group of companies, were you aware of the existence of this company, Tundavala Investment Limited?
I was aware that there was a company in Dubai, but and that's owned by James. That's as far as I know.
Okay, so there's nothing else that you know about that company.
Well, nothing structurally. I know that he has a company in Dubai,
Okay,
and so do the Angolan shareholders also have a company in Dubai.
all right.
My boss, João de Barros, in fact, has a company
In Dubai.
domiciled in Dubai. Correct.
And yourself?
Well, myself, no, I don't have any company at all in Dubai.
All right, can we go to page 45 of that bundle?
Oh, the bail application.
No, Your Lordship, just a bundle of
Okay.
exhibits. All right, are you on that page?
I am 45. You say.
What is depicted on that page?
So you say it's page 40.
45, yes.
This is an email from Caliber Middle East Chartered Accountants. Would you like me to
Addressed to whom?
from Ramiz Mohammed to myself,
And who else?
in CC James Atikulipi, Caliber me Koya Accounts Department, subject MS Tundavala Invest Limited,
All right,
Pronto Invest Limited license renewals.
all right. And what is the content of that email?
Happy to read same. Dear Mr. Ricardo Gustavo, greetings from Caliber Middle East Chartered Accountants. Please be informed that the license renewal of MS Tundavala Invest Limited registration number A045-05-14-8613 is due for renewal on the 26th of May 2015, and MS Pronto Invest Limited registration number A045-06-14-8776 is due for renewal on June 22, 2015, and need to be renewed at the earliest.
All right. Now, why was this email being sent to you with regard to the renewal of the licenses for Tundavala Investment Limited and Pronto Investment Limited?
The answer to that, my lord, is actually very simple. The principles of Caliber Middle East Chartered Accountants are known to me. I testified in this court that I was involved with a company, Brazil, in Angola. Brazil.
Yeah.
In Angola, you will recall, my lord, that had dealings around the world. And in the process, I got to meet Ramiz Mohammed and his brothers. In fact, it's a family business owned by him and his father and his two brothers. All of them chartered accountants of the highest order. And they were communicating this to me, companies that are not owned by me at all, were communicating this to me to say, look, these companies, because we know you, can you just get in touch with these people and let them know that the license renewals for their companies is due. Importantly, James is copied. And I see, my lord, there's another email here also to me for Pronto Invest, which is a business on page 48. It's a business owned by Jean de Barros and his sister. And also the correct terminology, my lord, is, as I can see in these documents, is not the government of Dubai, but the government of Ras Al Khaimah. Just a small correction. I don't know whether it's material or what, but just a small correction.
Let's go back to page 45.
I'm there.
So this entity, and there are invoices and proof of payments which were made by the Samheji group to Tundavala.
Right.
So this entity, where allegations are made that received part of the payments, meant for
Part of which payment, sir?
meant for Namgomar, the 500 Namibian dollars per metric ton. From what was put to you, that was only 25% of the fee.
No, let's just take a step back.
Yes.
I want to understand this correctly.
All right.
So 500 Namibian dollars represents 25% of what?
Of the usage fee, the catching fee in terms of the agreement.
So you are saying the catching fee is 75% of 3,000?
The 75%, the 1,500 was to be paid to
No, it would be 2,500. But now, okay. So you're saying that the agreement says that. The agreement says that 75% of the usage fee must go to Tundavala.
What was put to you is that there was an agreement between the parties, not a written agreement.
Not a written agreement.
Yes,
Between
a verbal
who?
agreement.
Between which parties, my lord? I just need to understand that.
Council is now proceeding from what he put to you in the earlier bail application. Maybe you should get the earlier bail application before you. And
Do you have a copy, Trevor, of the former bail application?
you are coming now from what was put to him in the former bail application.
Yes, Your Lordship, that is where I'm going. This.
And I'm pretty sure, my lord, that I asked the same question. I'm pretty honest, I'm sure that I asked the same question, because the agreement that, the catch agreement that I was presiding over had $500 million as the catch agreement.
In the written agreement.
Correct. So I'm not party, and I don't know of any other agreement, verbal or written,
So
that would have
no,
paid.
he say there was a verbal and oral agreement where you was a party. That's how I understood it. Where you was a party,
Right.
where part of the fees, part of the 500 paid in the catching agreement will be paid to this.
Part of the 500.
Yeah, part of the 500 will be paid to Tundavala. Am I correct?
The balance, the 500 will be paid in Namibia, but the balance, the rest of it will be paid to Tundavala.
Tundavala.
Yes, Your Lordship.
Okay, you say that was a, sorry, Council, you say that was a oral agreement
Yes, Your Lordship.
where he was a party,
Yes, Your Lordship.
according to the state. Yes,
My Lord, I was just going to direct the court to the actual page in the record where vague assertions about Tundavala is made, and that's page 33, my Lord.
page 17,
33.
33.
Yes, my Lord. And also, so that we don't mislead the court, there was never any assertion made in that bail application that 75% specifically was paid to Tundavala. My learned friend said, and I can read, my Lord, Your Lordship is also fully abreast, that 120 million, those were the assertions, went to Tundavala. It's page 33 to 35. And there was a clear answer that you must ask the relevant person. So I don't see where any other answer is expected from my Lord. It's clear on paper already.
Okay, Council, no, I will direct Council for the prosecution then to, let us not assume that the accused remember what was put to him before. Then if you want to ask the question, go back, put to him what was put to him before, his answers, and then contextualize it with anything further you want to put to him.
As it is a court, Your Lordship.
I didn't want to haste the parties so much that in the process someone is lost.
As it is a court.
Okay.
Alternatively, Your Lordship, I can just put to him the...
You can just put to him what you will allege
Yes, Your Lordship.
eventually, yes?
Yes. What will be alleged by the state is that there was a verbal agreement that 75% of the fees would be paid to a company, Tundavala Investment Limited in Dubai. Do you have any comment on that?
My Lord, my only comment is perhaps to say that I know that in these bail applications, even hearsay evidence, I believe, is admitted, but even by the standards of Mr. Lutibezi, really to put that to me because of hearsay, I've not been part of that. And I've said that in my previous bail application, that the correct person to ask is the owner of the entity and why he received those funds. I cannot answer for James Atuikulipi, neither can I answer for my bosses, Jean de Barouche and his sister. I cannot, my Lord.
But why they put this question to you, and that is again contextualizing, you are the director of the funds, the $500, the funds receiving company from this catching agreement,
Right.
under instructions of the Namibian owners,
The Angolan owners.
the Angolans, okay?
Correct.
Now, they put to you that there was such an agreement, and you can answer, like you did, ask Mr. The other accused, Mr. Atuikulipi.
Yes.
Do you want to elaborate on that? Do you know anything about that?
My Lord,
because you were over the finances in the Namibian company.
Yes, but my Lord, from how I understand the question from counsel, is that that money didn't go through the Namibian company. That it was, he's saying that it's a secret agreement, a verbal agreement that wasn't.
Okay, all right.
So I would rather not comment.
Then you
on
don't
the
have to
sessions.
comment. Are you alleging
I would
that,
rather say, my Lord,
Mr. Lutibezi, are the state alleging that that money or that 75% went through the company books here in Namibia?
No, Your Lordship. What we are alleging is that there was an agreement for that money not go through the company in Namibia, but we pay directly to Ndavala in Dubai. That was the agreement amongst our
And we have the answer on that.
Yes, Your Lordship. All right. Mr. Gustavo, if we go to page, yes, page 51 of the disclosed documents.
Yes, Counsel.
You had also received an email there, right?
Correct.
From?
From Ramiz Muhammad.
All right. And what was the title of that email?
The title is Reg Bank Account Pronto Invest Limited.
Oh, okay. And it starts with Dear Mr. Ricardo.
Correct.
That is reference to you?
Correct.
All right. And what is depicted in that email?
Dear Mr. Ricardo, greetings from Caliber Middle East Chartered Accountants. As discussed over the phone, I spoke to Mr. Dilshad at the bank, and he has said there is some issues with the application. He will send you the new set of application. Kindly sign and send the same to him at the earliest. I hope he called you regarding the same. I'm trying to follow up with him as well regarding the same. I've copied him in this email as well. Thanks and regards, Ramiz Muhammad.
All right. So there's an application where you're required to sign.
Well, he says here, I will send you the new set of application. Kindly sign.
All right.
But the context to this email, and there is a follow-up email to this, which I actually recall. He could not get hold of João de Barros, who is my boss. And perhaps, my lord, let's just take a step back. In my testimony in chief, I said that I was taking instructions and dealing directly with João de Barros, whom we now know is the son of the Minister of Fisheries, and was running a family business in Angola. I've given you, my lord, in the court, a set of documents depicting my continuous interaction with him, not only on Namgomar, but also on other issues. Issues of setting up a business in South Africa, issues of doing business in Ghana. In fact, I was involved with helping him, because of the language barrier, helping him understand, or rather purchasing fish feed from Zambia. This here, my lord, is in the normal course of business. Caliber Middle East, with the chartered accountants for Pronto Invest, which is a company that's owned by João de Barros and his sister on behalf of their family. It's a Dubai-based company. The gentleman here is saying that they were trying to open up a bank account. There was a phone call to me before that. I recall that, my lord, and he said to me, we have these and these problems. I said, look, write me an email and copy João so that I can then follow up with him and see what the issues are. That is the context, my lord, and that is my response, I guess, to counsel's question.
All right. Now, in relation to the email, which was sent, as depicted at page 45.
Yes.
With regard to the renewal of the license of Ndavala Investment Limited,
Right.
as well as the one for Pronto Investment Limited. There was also an email which was sent as depicted at page 48.
Yes.
Subject Pronto Investment Limited. Are you there?
I am.
And it's addressed to whom?
Ricardo Gustavo.
Okay.
Dear Mr. Ricardo Gustavo, greetings from Caliber Middle East Chartered Accountants. Please find attached the good standing certificate of MS Pronto Invest Limited. Kindly note that we have renewed your company and submitted a copy of the good standing certificate to the bank. Kindly contact us for any further clarifications.
All right.
Okay, where's that email?
Page 48, Your Lordship.
Page 48.
All right. So this particular email is not copied to any person, right?
Right.
Okay. And with regard to Pronto Investment Limited, they are informing you that we have renewed your company.
Correct.
Your company.
That's what the email says, correct?
All right.
However, my lord, a simple search of ownership. Counsel, have you maybe attached the certificate of ownership of Pronto? I think that will settle it. Is in this bundle, do we have a certificate?
Now, Mr. Gustavo, these documents.
Just give me a chance.
All right.
I just want to
look for. All right.
Well, it seems that we don't have a copy of the ownership certificates in terms of who actually owns this entity, Pronto Invest Limited. I think I said in the previous question that acting under instructions from Jean, and I also submitted to this court that over time a trust relationship ensued between ourselves. This email was sent to me. My lord, I can stand here with hand on heart and tell you that Pronto Invest does not belong to me at all. This is a company that is owned by Jean de Barge and his sister Adriana. This has nothing to do with me. I would have probably, if the mischief was not so obvious, there would have been an email from me where I'm forwarding this very document to Jean de Barge.
All right. And these particular communications, these were retrieved from your phone, yeah? You are nodding your head.
I don't know. I don't know where you've retrieved them from.
Are you not aware of these communications?
No, I'm saying, I don't know. You're asking me where were they, you're telling me that they were retrieved from my phone, so.
You don't know?
No, I cannot tell you that it's correct or where you've retrieved them from. I don't know.
All right. Now, with regard to the 75% that was to be paid in Tindavala, there are also communications retrieved from Mr. James Atukilipi's phone.
Yes.
Can you go to page 58 of the bundle?
58.
Look, this I have to check. Who is me? And under what circumstances does that speak to this applicant before court? At least what we have seen with all of the other email communication that has been thrown at us, there is a clear indication who the sender is, who the recipient is, and the context. It just tells you project with an arrow backwards and it says me. Who's me? Are they saying it's this applicant? Or are they saying it's someone else? It may be anyone, man. So it is fully prejudicial to even think of admitting this, man. The rest we don't bother with because it clearly shows you where it's coming from, who it's going to, and the context. But this may be made up, who knows? It can come from Stefansson or from whoever, my lord. So this I have to object to.
Your Lordship, as I indicated to the witness that these were retrieved from Mr. James Atukilipi's phone, communications retrieved from Mr. James Atukilipi's phone. The court can even say page 64 with regard to the report where Mr. James Atukilipi's name is indicated, me. So these are communications between Mr. James Atukilipi and John Olafsson.
And?
I think the pronunciation, John Olafsson.
My lord, what was put to me is that this was retrieved from my phone.
No.
That's what, I think we can go back in the record. And that's why I said, I don't know where you got that.
Okay.
If there's a misunderstanding, please clear it up.
Yes. These were retrieved from Mr. James Atukulipi's phone.
Okay.
These communications.
I cannot comment for what you've retrieved from James Atukulipi's phone. My Lord, and I do not want to comment on something that has nothing to do with this bail application, or at least not with me.
Yeah.
I have not, because I understood counsel to say that it was retrieved off of my phone. Now, if it was retrieved off of somebody else's phone, let such persons speak for themselves.
Is this now only this document in this bundle?
Yes, Your Lordship. I think just to clarify, when I made reference to certain documents retrieved from his phone, that's when we were talking about Pronto investments and those email communications. That is what was referred to as being retrieved from the applicant's phone.
Yeah.
Now we moved on to this.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yes. When we moved on to this, I informed him these were retrieved from Mr. James Atukulipi's phone. So
Okay,
that,
but why do we use it then in this proceedings?
they are also relevant in these proceedings because they pertain to the usage fee which was being paid now to Davala. As I already indicated to the court that there was a verbal agreement between the parties for a certain amount of 5% to be paid in Tundavala. We are dealing with common purpose here, so the evidence which is applicable will apply to all the accused persons. So we cannot just limit evidence in respect of one applicant, say that, okay, this is the only involvement in this particular case, so limit the issues to only this particular aspect of the case, because then that will be prejudicial. It will not, the court will not have a full picture before it when we allege common purpose in the indictment, when we allege that there was a conspiracy, when we allege that there is a syndicate that was operating. We need to place all the facts before court. And this is highly relevant with regard to the amounts which were meant to be paid to Namgomar Pesca Namibia, but were paid elsewhere. So on that aspect, Your Lordship, I think it's important for it to be put to him. He can answer if he wants to, but he's not forced to. But we need to put it to him as showing to him that, well, this is the nature of the evidence that the state has, and this is the nature of the evidence that's going to be laid subsequently at a trial.
I understand that, counsel.
As it plays the court.
The main issue is authenticity. It's authenticity of where we stand, of what it depicts. Because if you were telling me you took it from this place or that place, my Lord, on what basis do we accept the veracity of it? Because it tells you, me and Olafson or John someone, to allow something unauthenticated, my Lord, and that does not speak or does not properly state the context of it, my Lord. And when I say context, the parties involved, my Lord, can be highly prejudicial to this accused or to this applicant. So on that basis, I'm saying to you, my Lord, that we object in the strongest terms for those documents specifically to be handed up, my Lord.
This is now those documents, which are that now?
These depicted at page 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, up to 63, even the last page 64 that has James Atukulipi's name just written, and then below that it says me. Come on.
Okay, but let's cut it short then. Let's cut it short in the following sense. Refer the applicant to the documents and ask him whether he wants to comment on that.
As it plays the court.
And if he say no, it's not his business, fine, then we move on.
All right. As it plays the court. Thank you, Your Lordship. All right. At page 58, there's a particular document there.
Yes.
The references are available, Your Lordship. If the court needs them, my colleague is just looking for the reference where it indicates that these were retrieved from Mr. James Atukulipi's phone. So I'm going to put it to him that these were retrieved from Mr. James Atukulipi's phone. Because the reference is available. It's been disclosed as well to Defense Counsel, so they know where this is coming from. It's not a matter of us just guessing as to who wrote these messages and emails. Mr.
I hear what you say, and I don't want this matter to spill over into corroborating evidence going to be led, etc., and we will sit here for another week or two.
Yes, Your Lordship.
again, we must look at the purpose of such an application.
Yes, Your Lordship.
He have the documents in front of him. Okay?
Yes.
And we are here in a bail application concerning this applicant. We are not here to make news or create sensation. So put the documents to him, give him a chance to say what he wants to on page 58, 59, and let it pass.
As it is.
Forget about the content.
As it is, the court, Your Lordship. All right. Do you have any comment with regard to page 58? With the communication there, where it's indicated that the major issue that Namgomar Pesca Namibia is only paid $500 Namibian per ton usage fee, which is equivalent to 25% of $2,000, the balance paid outside. Do you have any comment on that?
My Lord, knowing that I'm under oath and knowing that these proceedings and the record of this proceeding will follow me to trial, I have no comment. It has nothing to do with me, my Lord. I would rather let the relevant person, James Atuikulipi in this case, comment on that.
Yes, okay.
All right. And you're a director of Namgomar. We've already established that you're a director of Namgomar Pesca Namibia.
Correct.
All right. I think lastly on that, do you have any comment on what is said there that now we need to close the gap that Esther, any of the entity in the group has a delivery of product fish, Namgomar Pesca Limitada Angola, equivalent to 1,500 Namibian dollars per
Okay,
ton.
on what page are we now?
Still page 58, Your Lordship.
Yes, but he said he don't have any comment on it. Just
As it is the court, Your Lordship. All right. With regard to Namgomar Pesca Namibia, where you're a director,
Yes, sir.
there were certain payments which were made from that entity, correct?
Correct.
And you said you were acting on instructions?
Correct.
Okay. For Mr. Barros?
Correct.
Okay. Now, I want to find out from you. Under the MOU, did the Angolan government award any quotas to Namgomar Pesca Namibia?
No.
All right. What about Namgomar Pesca SA?
You are talking now about the Angolan government.
Yes, Your Lordship.
Okay. Did they award any quotas to the Namibian company?
Yes, Your Lordship.
The answer was no. Am I
Correct.
correct?
And
The
then,
next question was, do you know whether
Namgomar Pesca SA or
was
Limitada.
awarded by the Angolan company?
yes.
Well, my understanding is that Namgomar Pescas Limitada, Namgomar Pescas SA, was a going concern. In fact, the document that the state disclosed to us this morning, under oath, the former Minister of Fisheries, Vitória de Barros Neto, says that because the question posed to her was, did you not find it corrupt to provide a quota to a company owned by your husband? And she says that, no. The quota that we gave was as a result of a business that was already fishing in the Angolan waters. So my understanding is that it had nothing to do with the MOU. Namgomar Pescas Limitada, Namgomar Pescas SA, my Lord, was already a going concern. It was already operating in the fisheries and in the fishing sector. Maybe from what she's saying under a different name, and then the name was changed. I think it was Jovi Bar or something, I can't remember. But in essence, the entity was always involved, or the family with this entity was always involved. And a quota was given to them on that basis. I cannot say to you with authority, my lord, that that was based on the Namgomar, or rather the MOU. In fact, it would have been probably highly unlikely in any case, because how do you do that?
All right. And now, the Minister of Fisheries here in Namibia awarded quotas Namgomar Pesca SA.
Correct?
And Namgomar Pesca Namibia sold them on behalf of Namgomar Pesca SA to the Sameji Group,
Sold them.
the quotas.
Council, maybe just repeat your question so I understand exactly what you're saying.
All right. The Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources awarded quotas Namgomar Pesca SA.
Right.
All right. And the Namgomar Pesca Namibia sold the quotas on behalf of Namgomar Pesca SA.
No.
All right. What happened?
The entity Namgomar Pesca Namibia entered into a catching agreement because, again, there's that local representation issue that I don't want to bore the court with. I think the court is fully versed with that. There was no sale of fish
Quotas.
or quotas between the entities. Yeah.
Okay. There was no sale of quotas between the entities.
No.
All right.
This one was catching, and there's a catch agreement to that effect.
All right.
Once, and I articulated this to court, once that is caught, the distribution, marketing, packaging, etc., was out of my domain. That now vested in the Angolan business.
Yeah, that's how I understood that.
Yes, yes. All right. So the fish that was caught by the Sameji Group, that was exported.
Correct.
All right. From your evidence, that was not sold in Namibia.
No, it couldn't have.
All right.
Couldn't have.
Okay. Now the fish, do you know what happened to the fish that was caught by Namgomar Pesca Limitada in Angola? Was that also exported?
My lord, you know, I said yesterday it would have been very easy if we had the correct parties before court. Once the fish is caught, the packaging, the marketing of that vests with João de Barros and the owners of Namgomar Pesca Limitada. There's a vast market for the distribution and marketing of the horse mackerel product. I wouldn't be able to say here with certainty that it went there, or wherever.
Yeah. Okay. That's perfectly fine. All right. The fees that were received from the Sameji Group, part of it you utilized as you explained yesterday, and you made certain payments as directed by Joa, yeah?
Correct.
All right.
In fact, every payment that I made would have been with his knowledge.
All right. Taking into consideration that this was made under the MOU, these transactions were brought about as a result of the memorandum of understanding. I just want to find out from you if you are aware as to how these transactions benefited the Namibian people. From the catching agreements, the fish, was there any benefit to the Namibian people?
Yeah, there was obviously, as we spoke yesterday, there was employment created.
All right.
Some of the, and I can't remember exactly how many, some of the products were sold in the local market to fish distributing or fish distributors in the local market, one of which is Tamsin Atuikulipi and others who took Namgomar branded fish. My lord, I can't say that fish is branded Namgomar, but the boxing and so forth. Because horse mackerel is horse mackerel, it just depends on the size. Now, the plus 20, the larger size fishes were obviously exported, and then the smaller fish we try to consume into the local market. But it wasn't as frequent as that. But some of that fish did land up, and I wouldn't be able to tell you now off the top of my head exactly how much of that.
All right. Mr. Atuikulipi, where did he get this fish?
Who? Which Atuikulipi?
You refer to Thompson.
Yes.
Yes. Where did he get the fish?
He would have gotten it through Samerji. Remember, he's got an agreement with Samerji to develop their business locally in Namibia.
All right. So,
and to develop their business locally in Namibia, and to help them develop new markets. Angola, I think, in the agreement that you've also disclosed to us, talks about Ghana and other markets. So he would have gotten it directly from Samerji, who, as we know now, have had two vessels in Namibia, Heinester and Saga. And there was Alina also, sorry, my apologies, there was 3 vessels at the peak of the operations in the country.
all right. So there was some fish that was caught by the Sameji group, which was bought by Mr. Dempson and sold locally.
The question you asked was whether some of the Namgomar branded fish ended up in our local market. The answer to that, my lord, is that Mr. Tukulipi, and not only him, there were other people that bought this fish directly from Samherji. They had an office in Swakopmund or Walfish Bay, and selling these boxes branded Namgomar to these individuals.
All right. So not all the fish was exported by the Sameji group.
Yeah. My lord, you know, it's very difficult to explain to someone who doesn't understand the fishing sector. I said that there is a market for fish, my lord. Now, there is a small market locally that the Samerji group was sort of distributing through small fish shop holders to sell that fish. But it's a negligible amount. It cannot even be, I don't know what percentage of the total catch. It's a negligible amount because we don't have a fish consumption culture in Namibia.
All right. Now, you also testified about job creation in Namibia, yeah? How many employees were working for Namgomar Pesca Namibia?
Namgomar Pesca Namibia was only myself.
Only yourself?
We did not need, my lord, to have an elaborate office filled with people. The management, the day-to-day management of that we'd outsourced to Asia. My job was just to keep the compliance. And I don't want to bore the court furthermore with that.
All right. So insofar as Namgomar Namibia is concerned, there was really no job creation for that entity itself, in that entity. You're only working alone there. Now, the job creation that you're referring to, which job creation is it?
You see, my lord, counsel, when something works for you in one way and then does not work for you in the other, it's not right. You put to me yesterday that, or counsel put to me yesterday, that one of the averments that the state is making against myself, my co-accused, and the entities that we represent is that 18,000 people would have lost a job across the industry because of our supposed maliciousness and naughtiness, for lack of a better expression. Now you are saying, on the back of that, we should have also been creating employment. So now, that's what I'm saying, that if the argument works for you one side, it must work for you on the other side. My lord, the truth is that the vessels licensed by Namgomar Pescas to catch on behalf of Namgomar Pescas SA were Namibian licensed vessels. In fact, I said yesterday that one of those vessels, Heinester, was the subject of an execution order through POCA. Because there was a joint agreement, and I don't want to dwell too much into that because that's above my fireplace. But look, my lord, the issue at hand is that every time you deploy a vessel, there are Namibians on board. Various Namibians, fisheries observers, people who are catching, etc.
Clarified yesterday already.
But the
Between
question,
150 and 200 jobs were created.
but that's the question, man.
particular group.
That's the question.
The question from council now is more directed to admin staff, and
I've clarified that as well, my lord.
you have clarified that
The
by
line of
saying
questioning continues, my lord.
yes, but let's get what he's busy with now, without going to the things we already have.
But that's the same question, my lord. The line of questioning continues that, look, I've said
Counsel?
that we didn't need to have people because the management, the day-to-day operations under 4 and 6 of the cooperation agreement identified this, the management services. And I also said under oath, my lord, that I had a day job. I had my job with Investec Asset Management. And I did not want to now have another job where I have to do a full-time job.
Okay.
So if the question, my lord, is that how many people were employed directly in this business of Namgomar, it was myself.
Your answer will be only myself and no one else.
All right.
But
Can we move
the
on?
context is that other people, as a result of the catching agreement, were employed.
All right. You will not dispute that the Sameji group was also receiving quotas from, in respect of catching agreements from Fishco, yeah?
You would have to discuss that with the principals of Samerji and with those responsible for Fishco. I had no dealings with Fishco at all.
All right. If we go to page 65 of the disclosed bundle,
My lord, I rise again. This time, my lord, my learned friend now wants to rely on, I wouldn't even call it an opinion, my lord, because the very report has various, that's the word, various disclaimers about the authenticity of their work. In actual fact, if we look at the covering letter from Deloitte, they clearly say, my lord, we have a bundle, and I can read it into record. They say that the Deloitte investigation team used relativity search functions to conduct focused search of the data for potential relevant documents by using keywords. However, due to the significant volume of data and limited time available, as at the date of the report, neither the Deloitte team nor the ACC investigation team had been able to conduct a comprehensive search of all the available data. Now, are we to accept, my lord, that whatever is about to be put to the witness, because I have a copy there, is accurate, where there is a clear disclaimer from the author saying, look, guys, I have boxes and boxes and boxes, but I only chose what suits the narrative. That cannot be, my lord, how an application of this nature is conducted. And I object to that, my lord, on that very basis.
Counsel?
Your Lordship, what is depicted on that page, this is the financial analysis of bank statements. It involves nothing about extraction. This is just a financial analysis based on bank statements. We have not included the entire report. It's quite a bulky report, and with the annexures, I don't know how many files, maybe about, how many, 17. The report itself runs into 17 files.
But why do you want to use it in this bail application?
In order to show how the money was distributed, because you're also dealing with charges of money laundering, racketeering, so it's relevant to know who received money in respect of the transactions that occurred. So it is of relevance, Your Lordship.
But, my lord, the client did not say yesterday that he did not pay any money to any person. What he said is he is not sure because he doesn't have his own records. Now, what the attempt is here is to pin him to specific figures where the author of that supposed report already tells you that my work is not accurate because I did not have enough time. My lord, it is highly prejudicial. That is the emphasis that I'm trying to bring to court, my lord. Mr. Court, please.
Mayor,
Just give me a moment. Mr. Gustavo,
My lord.
do you want to have time to go through that, or?
My lord, just to perhaps amplify my counsel's position, that's also my position, my lord. We've discussed this. I just want to read a few things into the record which make me extremely uncomfortable answering anything in this report. I'm not disputing that payments were made, and we've put that on record yesterday, my lord, but knowing very well, and I've given instruction to my counsel that come trial, we will contest this report. And it seems that through the back door, if I say something here, it'll come to bite me come trial.
Thank you, Mr. Gustavo. Counsel, you can make a general statement concerning payments without referring to these documents from page 65.
As it please the court, your lordship.
You can make, if you want to ask him whether you paid Mr. Pinocchio so many during that time, ask him that. If you say he cannot remember, fine. If you say he cannot remember or he don't want to, it's fine, but let's keep this out because it's already qualified. And this is not a trial.
As it please the court.
The parties will deal with this document during the trial.
As it please the court. All right. Mr. Gustavo, did you make a payment from Namgomar Pesca Namibia of 1,100,000 on the 31st of January 2015?
My lord, without repeating what I said, I will not comment today in these proceedings on this. I'll wait for the appropriate time where I've got my own records in place that can support and substantiate any answer that I would give to such a question, my lord.
Okay.
All right. There were further payments from Gregard Investments CC of 600,000 made to Mr. James Atukuliki's account. Any comment on that?
I have no comment, my lord.
Okay.
All right.
Counsel, maybe he will answer a more general question like whether he can remember that he ever authorized a payment to Greyhound, to that, and then don't refer to the document.
Yes, Your Lordship. Because the point that I wanted to get there, Your Lordship, it causes now a bit of a predicament for the state. Because when you're alleging money laundering, this is laundering through different entities owned by the co-accused persons. If I limit it only to Gregard Investments, it would mean that the flow of funds to the other co-accused persons who also have interest in this particular case, that will not be highlighted during cross-examination. So,
Okay, but in any event, again, it is not a trial.
yes, Your Lordship.
It's not a trial. Let's skip that part and move on with the matter.
Yes, Your Lordship. But what I can do is I can generalize it as the court suggested, ask him if he made certain payments to certain entities, and ask him if he's aware that these entities further made additional payments to other entities. I think that will limit the
Yes, that will limit the extent, but
Yes.
then don't refer to the document.
Yes, no, certainly, Your Lordship. All right. Do you recall if you made certain payments to Gregard Investments?
I did.
All right. And do you recall how much you made to Gregard Investments?
No.
Okay. And this is an entity where Mr. James has an interest in?
I believe so, yes.
All right. And are you aware that this entity also made further payments to Omholo Trust?
I'm not aware of that, my lord.
Okay. Are you aware that Mr. Saki Shangala is a trustee in Omholo Trust?
I'm not aware. I've only become aware recently through your disclosure, my lord.
Okay. And you also made certain payments to Auto Africa Investment CC?
That's correct, my lord.
All right. You recall how much?
I don't.
Okay. And what was the purpose of making these payments?
These payments, my lord, as I said yesterday, were for Mr. James Atwikulipi because of his advisory services that he was providing the parent company.
Yes.
And he wanted to be paid in local currency, and therefore I was instructed to pay him from Namibia.
Okay.
Initially, he chose Grey Guard, but then he wrote to us and said, look, can you please, the next payments make it to this account.
Yeah.
All right. And are you aware that Otwafika made further payments to Rango Trailing and Forwarding CC?
I wouldn't know, my lord. I'm not privy to those bank accounts, so I don't know.
Okay. All right. Insofar as your evidence is concerned in this particular case, you also testified that you have been paying your taxes.
Correct?
Does that include Namgomar Pesca Namibia?
That's correct.
All right. We have a statement from Mr. Kalinga.
Mr.
Kalinga.
Okay.
That has been disclosed to you.
Who's Mr. Kalinga? Where's he from?
Taxation officer from the Ministry of Finance.
Okay.
Receiver of Revenue.
You have a statement from him.
Yes.
Okay.
If the court will bear with us, just want to get the particular details.
Is there another point you can carry on with while your
Looking for that.
colleague are looking for that document?
Yes, Your Lordship, I think we can proceed. All right. Mr. Gustavo, you also testified in respect of this particular case that you will not abscond.
That's correct.
Okay. So currently you are unemployed.
That's correct, sir.
Okay. Your assets are attached under poker.
There's a preservation order in place, correct?
All right. There's a possibility you might lose your assets as well.
There's also a possibility I may not.
Yes, it goes either way. All right. And you indicated you had business interests in Angola. Do you still have those business interests there?
Which business interest are you referring to, sir?
There was one that you referred to where you were doing work for the army. What was the name of that company?
My lord, I said that was in 2012.
All right.
That is no longer in place.
Oh, okay.
That was not for the army. Let's not say things that are incorrect. I was working with a business called Brazil, which did central procurement for the armed forces.
All right.
Had nothing to do with the army.
All right. Do you still have any other interest in Angola?
I have no other interest in Angola, my lord.
Okay. Now, who was your network in the Angolan market? You said it was pre-bill. What's the name of that?
Brazil.
Yes, that is the. Who was your network there
Who was my network in what sense?
with that entity? Were you working with anyone?
In 2012, when
Yeah.
you were working with Brazil.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the management of the company at the time were the people that I was working with. I've obviously over time lost contact with it.
All right.
It was a very specific mandate, my lord. It was to see whether we could arrange what they call red tax. So ration tax for the police and the military, particularly in the outlying areas. Fresh meat, and hence I testified that we're then dealing with Bokomo, Meatco, Namib Mills, because maize was also something that they were looking for. And I also testified, my lord, that nothing came of that. And therefore, nothing happened there.
Oh, okay. And from your evidence as well, you were supposed to be appointed as director of Namgomar Pesca SA.
Supposed to be, yes, correct. We were talking about that, yeah.
All right. And those persons you're talking with are still in Angola, yes?
Correct?
All right. And you were dealing with those persons throughout this whole, from 2013, I believe, to 2019.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
But it's the very same people, my lord, in this report that you just submitted to us, who are now distancing themselves from me, my lord. It's the very same people.
Yes, who are distancing themselves from you.
Yes.
Okay, we'll get to the report since you've referred to it numerous times. I think it's appropriate.
Well, it's your report. It's not mine.
Yes, you made reference to it. I've not referred to it.
No, you haven't, but it's your report. You
Yes.
brought it to court because you want to refer to it, or was it just for general reading?
We'll deal with it. Don't worry. We'll
Thank you.
deal with it. All right. So if you are released on bail, you said you wanted an arm bracelet.
Correct. A GPS bracelet.
No, okay. You don't think an ankle bracelet would have been better because they're much more difficult to remove?
Neither here nor there. We are being semantical. You can even call it a waistband, a belt.
Okay.
I think the prosecution will tell us through witness or through you whether you possess that technology and that equipment.
Your Lordship, I want to get to that now.
Yes.
You offered $100,000 bail. You said that is what you could afford initially, yes?
Correct, but yesterday we managed to raise another 150, so it's 250,000.
Okay. All right. And I think you had indicated yesterday that you can liquidate your assets to buy the equipment needed for the monitoring, yeah?
Correct.
Okay.
That I'm prepared to do so.
Do you know how much that equipment costs?
My lord, I wouldn't know, but from the little bit that I know about technology, my lord, it's a matter of buying a cell phone for the authorities, putting the transponder app on there, connecting the transponder to the whatever device, whether, as Councillor said, bracelet or ankle bracelet or belt or chastity belt, I don't know what he wants.
That's something else. It's just
Yeah,
a detail.
so perhaps
it's something else.
all of that can be put into an app. In my mind, at least, one has to obviously go and research this a little bit better. But we are living in the age of technology, my lord, and these things are available. And that's why I've made it as an offer to the court.
All right. Okay. We find the document that we're looking for, this statement by Mr. Kalinga,
Yes.
where they reviewed your bank statement for Namgomar Pesca Namibia. And the tax returns which you filed. You did file tax returns,
Correct.
yeah?
Correct.
Yes. And it has been found that the revenue that was declared is $9,865,824. Do you have any comment on that?
My Lord, again, very difficult to comment without documentation before me. I cannot recall off the top of my head what we paid in tax, what we declared as revenue, what were the expenses dispersed and so forth, what were the taxable deductions. I can't recall it off the top of my head.
All right.
Plus, my understanding from the disclosure document is that, or maybe let me take a step back. If what counsel is putting to me, and I'm not in any case saying that it's a lie, but if what counsel is putting to me is factual, in my tenure as the director for Namgomar, Mr. Kalinga never attempted to contact me, either via phone, email, or anything to say that, look, you've underdeclared your income. What has transpired, though, my Lord, is that when this case started, suddenly, the receiver of revenue, as he was then known and now Namra or Namfa or something, woke up and said that no, but 75% of your income you did not declare, and therefore you are avoiding tax or evading tax. So it's all left to a matter of interpretation, my Lord. And without documentations before us or before me, to refer me just to a comment from a functionary of the Ministry of Finance, I cannot comment substantively to that.
Would that 75% then refer to, again, the income, the
No.
500?
No, my Lord, remember that counsel has put it to me that the 500 Namibian dollars, in the state's view, only represents 25% of what was supposed to come
yes,
here.
That's what I remember. Is it based on that you say they now say you underdeclared?
Correct. That's correct, my Lord.
Okay.
Or are you referring to the 75% that is underdeclared? The one that
You
was,
are referring to, not me.
Yes. Look, I just want to clarify with you
Yeah.
that when you say 75%, are you referring to the amount paid in Dubai?
No. You are referring to it.
Okay.
You tell me
Okay.
which one you are referring to.
Because I refer to Namgomar Pesca Namibia and the revenue for Namgomar Pesca Namibia.
Yes. And then I said, my Lord, that the disclosure given to us, and upon closer inspection, the numbers are inflated. Now,
Yes, but let's, sorry that I interject, but our time is running out.
thank you, my Lord.
Let's go back to the question he asked. He said, Mr.
Kalinga.
Galinga made a statement saying that there was something about 9 million something.
Yes, Your
Was
Lordship.
that over a period of 1 year or 4 or 6 years?
It's over a period of 5 years.
Okay. So what do you want to put to this witness?
Excuse me, Your Lordship.
What do you want to put to this witness?
What I'm putting to him is that there were funds deposited in the account of Namgomar Pesca Namibia. We are not dealing with any 75% paid abroad. There were funds deposited in the account of Namgomar Pesca Namibia, and only an amount of $9,865,824 was declared.
Over a period of 5 years?
Yes, out of a total amount
Of 22 million?
of $40,140,841.05.
My point exactly.
What is indicated is that the tax which is due and which is undeclared is $30,265,017.05.
And that's on one of the charges are based on that, not so?
Yes, Your Lordship.
Okay.
My Lord, I've testified to that previously. We will ventilate this in greater depth at trial.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. All right. But you have also been provided with disclosure of this statement and the tax returns that you filed.
Correct.
Yes.
And that's why I'm saying that, my lord, it's one thing to have the tax returns before you. It's a different thing to have the tax returns together with the working documents so that you can cross-reference.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Where are the proceedings for Angola? You've also been referring to the proceedings in Angola in your evidence here.
Which proceedings, sir?
By Mr. Joa and Ms. De Barros Neto,
Is that the document that you...
disclosed yesterday. Your Lordship, I think there's just a bit of a difficulty. This document, as you indicated, we received it yesterday, but it's not paginated. So maybe...
Okay, let's see what comes out. You can conduct it. I don't have to follow you. If anything, and you want me to take note of anything, you can give me pages copied, relevant pages.
As it is the court, Your Lordship. Thank you. Your Lordship, it appears that 2 copies which are paginated. Perhaps you can provide one to the court.
Okay.
It might just be a bit of a difficulty referencing it because mine is not paginated. So I'll have to see on which page it's highlighted.
Counsel, before we go to the document, we're looking at the time now, but I just want to have an assurance. I pick up that he said that there is now papers before court that the 2 officials he talked about will now are distancing themselves from him. My question is this: are there affidavits in here?
This is part of the inquiry. It's not really written affidavits, Your Lordship.
Okay.
It's part of the inquiry.
Will that's part of the inquiries from prosecution or ACC. Will these people come and testify in Namibia eventually? Or don't you know that? You don't know?
At this stage, I'm informed we'll make arrangements for the persons mentioned,
Okay.
Your Lordship.
Now, you can go on with another point at the moment. What I want to have clarity on with the giving of documents with the origin from outside the country. I want to know whether there's a protocol in place that those people can come and testify in Namibia. Whether the prosecutor have written consent that they will come and testify in Namibia. What is the laws in those countries concerning their people testifying in other countries in matters of this magnitude? I've read, and why I ask this, I've read in the previous bail application that there's outstanding reports from Angola, 1 or 2 other African countries, Dubai, I cannot remember all the countries, which will become part of this case. But at this stage, in this bail application, I want to know, before something is put before a witness, whether those people will come and testify, whether their laws will permit them to come and testify, whether their countries will permit them to come and testify. Otherwise, we are blowing in the wind.
Yes, Your Lordship. Thank you. As I indicated, these documents were only received yesterday. I'm
Yeah.
aware that there is, in fact, mutual legal assistance between the two nations. For the rest of the court's queries, if the court would allow us to stand down, then I can just get information on that. As I indicated,
Yeah.
yes, we just received this document as well recently. So I'd
Okay,
also need to-
and counsel, remember that sometime in the afternoon, after 4, I would need to talk to counsel because we must start to look at the nearby future. If we see how this case is proceeding.
Yes, Your Lordship.
But I will stand down now. We will adjourn the matter now until, I'm afraid for this.
My Lord, but if there's any other point, then we can park this one. And then if there's any other point,
I think we should park now
Yeah.
because there's a lot to find out about this document.
Yes, we need time, Your Lordship.
They
because
need
we
time.
need to inquire as well regarding that document. So we
Can we restart at 2:15?
as you please.
Is it viable or not viable?
Okay. Your Lordship, I believe at 2:30 will be more appropriate. I've been informed by
And
my colleague.
until when can you carry on this afternoon?
No, I think I'll be wrapping up this afternoon. I don't
Okay.
think, yes, today we should be done with him.
Okay.
Yes, it's not going to be lengthy proceedings.
Okay, the court is adjourned until 2:30, 14:30. We will reconvene then and please,
As you
let's not waste
As you please.
again a half an hour.
Yes, you please, Your Lordship.
The court is adjourned.
Right.